Hey there folks, this is Josh, Stony Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to the farm. Today we're going to be moving and shaking, man. So we've got our John Deere 5065 tractor back here behind us, and we're going to be hooking up our Woods BB72X Extreme Duty Brush Cutter or Bush Hog. So we've got some really rough areas on the farm that we don't want to subject our Ventrac tractor to. Now the Ventrac could totally handle these areas, but this big old Woods Brush Hog is just totally made for this. We may hit rocks this big and I don't want to bend any blades on the Ventrac. The Bush Hog will beat its way through there. So today we're going to show you how we hook up the Bush Hog, and we're going to show you how we set up the Bush Hog, and then we're going to get busy. So this will be a bit of a tutorial for a new person to learn how to set up the Bush Hog, or a little bit of a reminder for a person that's done this a whole bunch. So come along today on the farm vlog as we get moving and shaking. We'll show you a little bit of footage of what's going on with the bulldozer crew that's coming in the next 10 minutes or so, and we're just gonna get busy. This is a new hat, and you can see I've been out here for about 10 minutes. This hat is gonna get dirty today, so we're gonna dirty up a new hat, all right? Woo! I was getting ready to walk you through the 3-point there, but I got to boogie down. We got to go down here and see this guy unloading real quick. So we've got a Caterpillar 953 track loader coming here, and the fella's going to do about 3 days worth of work for us. Let's go down and check it out. All right, here's what's going on. These boys are coming down the road. They're going to back down in here and unload this track loader on the gravel. That's a whole lot of machine right there, guys. All right, here's your teaser. Tune in tomorrow to see what we're gonna do with the track loader. We'll show you everything that we're doing here. We're repairing some spots that needed to be addressed. Pretty cool. We may end up building a pond. Who knows? Now here we are at the back of the John Deere 5065, and I wanna talk to you about the parts of the 3-point hitch before we go ahead and hook everything up. These are called lift arms. There's 2 lift arms, and typically on most tractors you have an adjustable side and one side stays stationary. Attached to these lift arms, and we'll get you a little close-up of that, is a chain setup on this tractor to keep these from swaying. So once we get it hooked up, we want a little bit of play in our Bush Hog so it can kind of move around just slightly. We don't want it absolutely firmly in place. Some implements you would want to be locked down in a firm position. So this is our PTO shaft right here. We don't want to hook this up while the tractor is running. We want to be safe, so we'll shut the tractor down, hook up our PTO shaft just in case something happens, something crazy happens. There's many a person that's been injured or killed by a moving PTO shaft that they didn't think was moving. Now this is called the top link, and the top link is an adjustable link that goes up in the top. This one's a little different than the other tractor. It has a little tab that holds it in place, but you just adjust the top link by twisting this little tab right here. And here's how we secure our lift arms in position on this tractor. Basically, you keep an adjustable wrench on the tractor and you can bring these inward or outward, however you need them to be locked into position. And this is how we adjust our lift arm. We keep these lubricated, and this is a pretty unique system that John Deere has, but this is how this is held in position, the top link is. So we're gonna take the tractor over to our fuel tank, we'll fill up with fuel, and then we'll head up to the Bush Hog and get all hooked up to the Bush Hog. Guys, you may have seen this out of the corner of your eye. This is called a lane shark. We're gonna be hooking this up to the front of the tractor at some point here on the farm. We'll show you how it works too. It's a front mount brush cutting Bush Hog that also can lift up on the bucket, and it can point this way, flat, or this way, I do believe, so you can trim the lane. It's called a lane shark, so you can trim a lane down the side of your field and keep limbs from growing out in your field. That's what takes fields over. Contact 5065 John Deere. Woo, baby.
So
So this is our fuel tank. This is a 100-gallon fuel tank on the back of our Dodge Ram. This is a 1999 Dodge Ram 5.9 liter gas engine pickup truck. This is my fuel truck, my farm truck, my work truck, my beat around truck, my I don't care if it gets a dent in it pickup truck. What we have here is a fuel tank toolbox combo, and I'll give you a little secret. This one is from UWS, made in the USA, all aluminum fuel tank. There is a bit of an issue with this fuel tank absorbing water. So I've got to figure out, and you guys can post comments down below, what I need to do to help with this water situation. I think I'm going to have to put a fuel water separator here on before or after the filter, probably before the filter, to make sure this thing isn't pumping water. So I check my fuel filters, and there's a fuel water separator on my diesel tractors, and I'll end up having to get water out of them after I pump out of this tank, just because water condenses, and the fuel is a lesser humidity than the air, and consequently that pulls water in. So say the fuel, the humidity level in the fuel is 5%, well, the humidity level in the air is 95%. So what that does is cause us a serious problem with fuel sucking water. Now, this little thing has a little tab, a little switch, and I have, if you haven't seen the video, I'll post a link at the end of the video installing this, but I have a little electric wire ran up to the battery, just clamped on with some little clamps. We turn our switch on, and we're gonna pump in some fuel. Pretty cool. I'll give you a tip after I pump fuel and tell you how you can save some big bucks on these things. Awesome. So let's tell you about where we got our fuel tank from. This fuel tank was purchased as a used fuel tank. So we went to a big dealership that sells a lot of pickup trucks, and it was actually a Dodge dealership, and I asked them if they had any takeoffs. You can do this same thing at your local car dealership. They take toolboxes and stuff like this off of work trucks, toolboxes, ladder racks, bumper guards, all sorts of stuff, and they remove them to sell them on the lot. So a lot of times a dealership will have a surplus of toolboxes, fuel tanks, and all that stuff, especially a dealership that sells a lot of trucks. And the number one on the East Coast, the number one truck dealer, Dodge truck dealer, is right here about 20 miles from us. So we got hooked up. 100 bucks for that thing. That's an expensive, expensive tool, and we picked it up cheap. Awesome. Little tip. Now we got to head up to the tractor shed, move some equipment around, and hook up to the brush hog. I'll show you how we hook it up, and I'll show you how we set it up to mow properly. So right here is the brush hog, and right here is two pieces of equipment we got to get out of the way. I've actually got to disconnect the smooth bucket on the skid loader, put the tooth bucket on there, and we'll get this grapple up and out of the way. It's always something. So I haven't used this brush hog in probably 2 or 3 months, something like that, and we've only used it twice this year. We could get in here with the tough cut. It's called a tough cut. Let me show you real quick. That goes on the Ventrac mower. It's sitting right over here. We could get in there with that tough cut. However, the Ventrac, it sits really low to the ground, and you'll see when we get over there, there's some gullies, some real gullies and stumps and just large stuff. And I don't want to tear the Ventrac up. I can really wail on this mower. This is an extreme duty machine. It is just super duper robust. The blades on it are like this thick compared to the blades on the Tough Cut. It's just a bigger, beefier machine. Now for cutting grass, it does okay. I think it shines in rough stuff. Contact, Bobcat. There we go. Chronic problems here. Woo! Gotta get that bucket off. One of these arms always sticks. In the interest of time, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. Let's back up to the 3-point here. We'll hook it up and we'll show you how we set up the bush hog. So I've got my lift arm lined up inside here, and all I'm gonna do is lift up on my lift arm and put it over into the other section right here. Pretty simple, pretty easy. You're gonna have to play with your tractor to see what works for you, absolutely. All we gotta do is line up that hole with that lift arm, which is going to be a bit of a challenge. I think we're going to have to hook this lift arm up first, then pull it a little bit and line that guy up. I also have, and I keep on my tractor, a spud wrench. This is called a spud wrench, and it helps me to stick the spud wrench in this hole, and sometimes I can just stick it right in right through there and line up just a little bit easier. Super duper handy wrench to have on your tractor. I'll post a link down there in the video description. So here's an example. The pin's not quite lining up where it needs to. So we'll take our spud wrench, slide it in, get it in place where it needs to be. Then we can take our pin, hopefully, and slide it right in place. Give her a little boot. Good to go. Now notice we've got the tractor off. We got our 3-point up here. We're gonna kind of give it a whack there, knock off any loose dirt that might be on it. And this thing basically works on a principle. This little sleeve will slide back right here. So we get it up and we try and line it up appropriately. There it goes. Get it right on the right spline. And then we pull that sleeve back and it should slide right up on there. I put a tiny bit of grease about every time I use this on the PTO shaft for the tractor to try and make sure that it slides on and off a little bit better. And you can see, no matter what, you're gonna get dirty. This is a dirty job. If you got into this so you could stay clean, you probably are doing the wrong thing with your life. There it goes. Good deal. So we slid right into place. And we're now locked in. Now we're gonna hook up our top link. I'm just gonna bring our top link down. This is adjustable, so I'm gonna get my pin ready for my top link. Slide it in there, and this is a big time pinching hazard, but it's all good. It's got to float along the ground, and that's how this little apparatus works to keep it floating along the ground. Now we're good. Our top link is all hooked up. The first time I did that, it took me 2.5 hours. I hope this is helping you guys. We're gonna pull up to a flat spot, either on the blacktop or down on our gravel road, and we'll show you how we level up our brush cutter for optimum cutting. So the basis behind setting up your brush hog or bush hog is making sure your shaft is lubricated like it's supposed to be. You need to make sure that your gearbox is full of oil. Consult your owner's manual on each individual type. We want to make sure, when I give a visual inspection up underneath, make sure nothing's loose, make sure nothing's shaking around. Before we start mowing, we want to start that PTO at a slow speed, bring it up to speed, make sure we're not getting any crazy vibrations or anything like that. We want to do a good visual inspection, lubricate our wheel every time we use it, and every 4 to 6 hours as we use this thing, as well as the PTO shaft. Now, we want to make sure that our deck is level. And you can look out here right now, I don't know if you can see it, but this deck is not level. It's a little bit low on the right-hand side right here. So what we'll do is lower down and we'll look at the stationary side of the deck, and we'll put it just about this high off the ground, and then we will level that side of the deck. Sometimes you got to bring it up, sometimes you got to bring it down. Each tractor is different. The old Massey Ferguson has an old hand crank that you can do right from the seat. This one does not have that. I'll show you how it works. So we're going to lower this till it's just touching the ground. And we're going to bring it up very, very slightly. So touch the ground right there, bring it up, and we'll check the height real quickly and make sure that the height is similar on both of them. So we got about a 1/2 inch of height over here on this side. Now what I see here with this other side is we're just about the same. I actually want to bring it up ever so slightly, and it doesn't take much of a turn to bring it up. That was down and that's up. We'll lock it back into position. So that is the same height as the other side. Now, if your bush hog is equipped with this guy right here, it's so that when you go up and down and over hills, that this can flex and the bush hog won't stick way out in the air. So we'll keep an eye on this as we mow. If we find that our back wheel is coming off the ground, which is absolutely undesirable, then we'll adjust the top link out just a little bit so that we get a little bit more flex in our bush hog. The whole goal of this is to make sure that your deck is absolutely level, front to back and side to side. So you'll have to make your adjustments in your tractor to make sure that we're cruising at the right level for your tractor. The back wheel has an adjuster on it. The best way to do this is to find a nice flat spot and level it up for the first time, and then you won't have to fool with it again. You'll figure out the level that you want your back wheel. I'll show you how the back wheel adjusts. So we want to make sure that our rear wheel is pointing backwards, okay? That's the direction that wheel's going to be. It won't be the other way. That wheel can spin 360 degrees in case you turn around and back up. We want to make sure our deck surface is absolutely level. So with our 3-point raise and lower, we'll control that. We'll find the optimum position there, and we know what height we are right here. We want the deck to mow level and straight. We don't want it that way, and we don't want it that way. That's how we set up our brush cutter or bush hog when we mow our pastures and when we mow our fields. This area is extremely rough. We're gonna toss a drone up in the air. We'll get a little before and after. The area is beautiful, it's green, but it's really, really rough. And there are stumps in there like this big, little pieces of wood, rocks, and stuff like that. And I know this Woods bush hog will take it. It'll take a beating, man. So we're gonna get busy, toss the drone up in the air. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, please pound that like button, subscribe to the channel. Come back and follow us. We're gonna be working with an excavator crew here on the farm for the next 3 to 5 days. So we'll give you some updates on progress on that. And we'll show you how we take scraggly old land and plant grass and get it going. All right? See you next time on the Stony Ridge Farm. Woo!